There are no forests on Earth. When you read this loud headline, even with exclamation mark in the end, every sensible person will say that I'm out of my mind and will throw at me millions of photos with images of forests. I want you to believe this is another trick. They made us think that this is forest. Actually, you are looking at the 30 meters bushes. This is total bullshit and nonsense, you will say to me. Of course we know how forests look like. We all walked and strolled in them. Well, expected reaction, and it's fair. But after listening or reading this chapter, its headline won't seem strange to you, because you will overturn your concept of forests 360 degrees. And now, first things first. We will begin with well-known picture. Children see 9 dolphins on it, but adults see 2 lovers. A huge difference. Do you agree with me? Make yourself find dolphins now and find out how it's hard. Feminine fruities will flatly refuse to transform into dolphins. It's funny, cause children's problem will be exactly the opposite. This is the first fact. The picture is single, but we see it completely differently. What is more, children and adults can't exchange perceptions. Why it is so? It is simple. I see the way that Matrix ordered, but not the way the real world looks like. Our eyes became traitors over time. We were blinded yet in childhood. Outward world is quite different. We see things through prism of habits and experience. And this prism distorts everything very, very hard. At 30 years of life, this prism gets status of mind protector. And at 40 years of your life, you can go crazy without this prism. You think I am exaggerating? Look at this photo. I am claiming that this is mesa that was formed from a magmatic melt from the Earth's depths about 200 million years ago. You think I am out of my mind? In my turn, I can blame you in the same thing. You will understand soon. We will come back to this grass plot lately. And now, let's remember how we bumped on the old straw trees. Sometimes even take photos, trying to hug unhuggable stem of the tree. But really, think about it. Old trees are rarity. They are all registered. They are tracked and are kept reserved like a memorial of nature. There were uproar in the network about forests. Why all forests on the earth, even in Siberia, are not older than 200 years? Where are giants? And it is right that people are roaring about it. But I want to step to this question from the different angle, from the sides of the Earth's poles. The thing is that even Soviet biologists found strangeness in the poles. A natural amount of water is kept in ice and snow, and there is a natural percentage of carbon dioxide in the world's ocean. These abnormal concentrations tell us exactly about worldwide fire of the past. Using simple math, those scientists came to conclusion that those fire carried away 99% of Earth's biosphere. We all know that living cells are consists of hydrogen and carbon, so those ice on the poles are made for the most from water, from burnt organisms. And now think about this number, 99%. It means that everything that now grows, crawls, flies, swims and runs on the earth is 20,000 times less in volume than was before this catastrophe. 20,000 times. To imagine this, look at this picture. This piece of bread is humans, plants and animals. Just this pathetic small piece of bread near the car that represents Earth's biosphere before those times. I hope you understand that today's myth about overflow of population is just a pure hoax and nonsense, 100%. But here's the problem. Biologists divided this number between all continents and nothing succeeded. There is no so much place on the dry land to place it. This theory correct at the seams, but snow and ice are there. It's not going anywhere. Fact is fact. It must be placed on the land. But as always, illumination comes on a sudden. Stereotype of thinking is to blame. 30 meters tall forests is like a virus penetrated in our head and biologist's head and prevented to find solution to this problem. If plants can feed broadwise, then we should feed them upwards, and everything comes clear. In this new theory, hypothetical forests of unthinkable height was drawn. And here's the thing, we found these photos. This is vandalic felling of the sequoias in the California redwood in 1880 till 1920 that are survived by miracle in the planet's bombarding in 1816. Just imagine how much years this tree needs to grow up to these sizes. And then comes freaks with saws and axes, 1, 2 and no more tree. In the proportion of these trees we can see rule. Diameter of the stump is about 3 times bigger than woodcutter's growth. Let's look on this formula. You just think about it. You are entering the forest whose height is not usual 30 meters, but 100. Here's your fairy forest from fairy tales and books. Forests that are lost forever because of such barbarians. I understand that they are just wage workers, that they must feed their family, that is just an order above, but if every single woodcutter refused to do this crime order, all forests will be saved, because Mason's demons are too arrogant to do it with their own little hands. That's why I will send these merry woodcutters defenders to a well-known place. Look at these photos carefully. They look like satanic bacteria that finishes forest organism. For those who think that trees were killed just because of wood materials, I want to dispel your claims. Trees are energy generators. They produce constant electricity, oxygen from photosynthesis, food. They have root network and are programmed to exchange data. Our ancestry had a theory that trees are programmed to keep data from everything on the planet and saving it in their information portal in the carbon fibers. I don't know the reason, but some sequoias these vandals left alive, even put a fence and called wildlife sanctuary. Of course, guides in the parks will tell you tales from the crypts, how in the stupid Zoic era Stupidosaurus scratched their booty on these old sequoias of California. Let's summarize everything. Remains of the giant trees of the past are found, and homeless ice and snow of the poles took this place in the mosaic. It seems like everything is clear, but it's not. Nothing is so simple. If you take myths and legends of all nations, you can find lots of stories about people, animals and plants morphing into stone. This is normal, because paleontologists all over the world dig petrified fossils of humans, animals and plants. There are so many of them that museums are overfull of petrified fossils of clovers, frogs, lizards, pieces of dinosaurs, and on and on. Frogs and clovers, it's all good, but we have forest debate. Guys, where are the trees? All sequoias of California do not fit here, because they are made of carbon. It means that they did not got the silicon era. Why I know that? First of all, they were cut and sawed by standard instruments. All axes and saws will break of silicon. So, where are silicon trees, if those giants from carbon are not related to the silicon era? Guess what? They were found. Try to think where. In the same North America, in the Arizona to be precise. This zone of Aryans. There are so many things going on there. The giant quarry that now is called Grand Canyon. Like one person under the nickname Wake Up Human said, it's apogee of cynicism to name quarry wastes as national parks. It's not a national park, it's just a quarry waste. And what an ancient Russian word's root kolo is doing in the opposite part of the world, the root ra, I won't even mention. Here is even city of Aryans, from which left only the vortex that made hooligan meteorite 50,000 years ago, of course. It is how Wikipedia is telling us this total bullshit. Oh, by the way, here are our silicon trees. I want to introduce you the museum under the open sky. Stone trees here are just scattered in the desert and also fenced. Everybody today can visit this circus by the name Petrified Forest National Park. In this park, petrified fossils are not common, they are unique. If turtles and frogs were petrified in pale grey boulders, then these trees morphed into semi-precious stones. Well, admired stone is beautiful, isn't it? It is time to take a stock. All our forests are young and do not grow higher than 30 meters. Remains of fairy forests were found in sequoias of California, and biologists put poles, ice and snow in its place. We found petrified fossils of Silicon era and trees from precious. Now everything fits together, right? Oh no. In perfect world everything is fit. In our cursed hell nothing is fit. Since that time when I was a kid and saw petrified fossils on TV show, I was tormented by the question. So it was born in child's head, but now it costs a lot. How it is possible for the frog to morph into stone instead of rod, like all organic bodies do? Let's see what Wikipedia is telling us. Special rare conditions must be met in order for the fallen stem to be transformed into fossil wood or petrified wood. In general, the fallen plants get buried in the environment free of oxygen, which preserves the original plant's structure and general appearance. Understood, dry British humor? If not, I'll try to explain. You need some spontaneous spontaneous natural disaster, for example, volcano eruption, tsunami, clay rain, which can quickly cover frog and mammoths, made conserves from them, where bacteria won't decompose corpse to state of stinking manure. In other words, to make body petrified, you need to cover or engulf body and compact it. According to so-called scientists, the tissue was organic and then magically turned into silicon, SiO2. Remember this formula. If you have ever buried your home pets, you can quickly run and dig them out. Your beloved pet is petrified and you can put his statue on your table. Want to reproach me in black humor? Redirect it into official science community, which raps us such a bullshit. Immured body has only two options: dry up like an insect in the piece of amber, or second option, just simply rot. Organic body will never ever turn into rubble. Never. This absurd is invented to hide the truth. Magical morphing into stone rubbles is a little sin. Transmorphing wood into semi-precious stones, this is where the lies and ignorance becomes uncontrollable. Tell me, how stalk of wood can become semi-precious stones? No answer, but I have. And we will discuss this lately. But now let's analyze this James show. I don't know how about you, but I am confused by 3 points. First of all, according to the official story, these trees fell in unequal battle against neighbor volcano. Attention, 225 million years ago. Continuation of a story is even more exciting. That wood not only burned in hell's fire, not only rotted in the wet ground, but in the contrary to all laws of physics, chemistry and biology, just transmorphed into precious gems. David Copperfield is nervously smokes on the sideline. But this is not the end. Trees are not broken. Trees are sewn into accurate pieces. Well, I want to know the name of brand of the chainsaw that Indian aborigines used for this. I'm joking, of course, but the conclusion is that this is not a museum, but staged theater. Trees were sewn, cutted, and brought here by someone. You know, only true fool will believe in magic transmorphing of wood into precious stones and gems. And we have next question. For what purpose they made this circus with this broad and scattered through trees of silicon life form? And did you pay attention how small these silicon trees are? They are incomparable even with sequoias of California. But this one is simple. They are not trees. They are branches of the giant silicon trees. And those trees were so big that American sequoias near them are like little stick near the baobab. And while tourists are gaping near these precious gems, no one is paying attention into the background, because everything is hid in it, in our plain sight. To understand what I am talking about, we shall return to our favorite picture of grass plot, and I want to ask you what you see. A tree stump in the daisies. But I continue to claim that this is mesa that formed from a magmatic melt from the Earth's deeps about 200 million years ago. Do not believe me? And now, let me introduce to you. This is Devil's Tower, mesa, or so-called lacalith, that is formed from a magmatic melt from the Earth's deeps about 200 million years ago. At least this is how Wikipedia is telling us. And billions of people are believing that this is mesa, or lacalith, or mountain. Huh? Really? Let's come closer to our tree stump to look at his fantastically inexplicable columns. Let's look in Wikipedia once again. Igneous rock is formed through the cooling and solidification of magma or lava. Huh? What a smart magmatic melt. He just stand and frozen in appearance of perfect hexagonal columns for 300 meters in the sky. You can synchronize your instruments on these miracle columns. Were they squeezed out of cram injector, then tied in a bun like a broom, and big giant fan blowed near to help columns to curdle fast? Huh? Maybe columns of Parthenon or Isaac's Cathedral were built in the same way? Gentlemen scientists, are you out of your mind writing in this garbage? Humans, are you out of your mind believing in this garbage? Claiming that this geometrical masterpiece appeared as the result of lava fountain, the same bullshit as claiming that racing car appears on the track because of explosion on a Ferrari factory. Have you ever seen what fountain of lava looks like? In those times lava had artificial intelligence. Huh? Really? Comparative analysis. All columns are hexagonal. Why exactly hexagonal? Because universe's masterpieces are built in this form. There are no same snowflakes, but all of them are in perfect hexagonal shape. These two, without knowledge of mathematics, correctly identified that regular hexagon has least perimeter among all of the others regular shapes of equal area, so you can fill this shape most efficiently. When bees build honeycombs, they instinctively try to make them more roomy as possible, spent with as little wax as possible. Hexagonal shape is the most economical and efficient figure for building a honeycombs. Blind sheep can't understand that our universe is fractal. That is why no difference in what scale you will study it, in scale of mountain or scale of tree that everyone have under their window. And now let's open botany textbook. Let's find structure of any plant and let's compare it with our giant stump. We won't go deep into this, we want only those facts that will fall into our hands from the stump's photos. So it will be useless to try to argue against those facts. I want to introduce you a cross-section of the stem of flax. Well, gentlemen biologists, are you noticing anything? No? Look, seems like honeycombs in the middle. Oh, way! And they are all hexagonal. Well, what a coincidence. If we remove skin around this flax, our stump skin is already removed. Look at the small rocks around it. And guess what? Flax looks exactly like our stump from the bird side. They look identical. Exactly. Stump's fibers, like the fibers of the flax, has hexagonal shape that is strictly preserved its geometry along the entire length of the stem, and that is as much as 384 meters. I want you to pay attention that Stump's fibers even stricter in their proportion that stem from the textbooks of botany. The fibers are no different for the whole length, but also relative to each other. The feeling that it is a branch of armature, hexagonal cross-section after leaving the metal rolling mill. The fibers are not attached to each other, since freely exfoliate and fall as the stone erosion goes. Each fiber of our stump is covered by a thin skin, exactly like fascia, a thin sheath of fibrous tissue enclosing a muscle or other organ. As you see, petrified skin contacting winds and moisture is cracking, exfoliate, and show it. And this is direct evidence that fibers of stump are consist of at least two components placed in each other. Fibers do not go into the ground vertically, they are gradually bent to transform into the root system like every tree should do. As you see, the official story of spontaneous and accidental solidification of lava is 100% bullshit and falling apart. No, I understand that Hollywood in 1977 made film called Close Encounters of the Third Kind, with Devil Tower playing the main role, where we were told 100 times that this is mountain where we can meet aliens, but this garbage is suitable for fools only. And where your eyes were, gentlemen scientists? Hey, biologists, geologists, paleontologists, are you here? Do you study the world in the welder mask? And now let's find out the height of the tree, which the stump was one day. Let's use the formula that I mentioned earlier. The diameter of our stump is 300 meters at the base. If we sum 300 to 20, we will get the height of, are you ready? 6 kilometers. Just think about it. Everything is learned in comparison, isn't it? I think we can put a big fat dot in here. Devil's Tower is a giant stump of a giant silicon tree, with all attributes of a normal stump that everybody saw. But we should not underestimate the matrix that keeps all cattle in the stables. I am sure that even after such clear evidence, there will be deep sleeping people that will ask for more. If you think that all my arguments are ended, I want to disappoint you, cause I have so many trump cards in my sleeve, and I will enjoy every moment where I will throw them on the table. Well, we figured out everything about this stump, let's move to another one. Yes, and you thought that this is the only one? You just need to remove your blinkers, and you will see so much. Let me introduce to you Giant's Causeway in Ireland. Noticed something familiar? Take a closer look. Again, these hexagonal columns. Whoa! If you do not notice similarity with the Devil's Tower's fibers, you must be 100% blind. This is the same giant stump, but now it almost do not comes out of the ground. This tree grew right on the seashore. Giant Causeway consists of almost 40,000 of columns of such geometrical proportions that all the bees in the world will be jealous. Of course, all science nerds declared it to be National Nature Reserve, like I mentioned before, as one person with nickname Wake Up Human said, it is an apogee of the cynicism to name a quarry waste as a national park. In which connection a quarry waste here? I will say lately. But now, guess what official science bleats about this Irish stump? Giant Causeway is an area of about 40,000 interblocking basalt columns, the result of an ancient volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruption! Ah! Please, tell me how to stay calm and not erupt fountain of swear words in the direction of science society. It is very hard, but I will try, cause our enemies only want us to do it. I have only two questions. First of all, how many years was in coma C.C. Campbell? And second, why still these honeycombs were not declared as the result of an ancient volcanic eruption? Because they are not distinguished at all. No less strange why street sidewalk tiles are not declared as the result of the ancient volcanic eruption. Show me a single difference, nerds. And now I offer you to come back to our old method and compare Giant's Causeway with this time with real lava. want to remind you how lava erupts and flows. And this is how it congeals. And now let's compare Devil's Tower with Giant's Causeway. Oh, sorry for my French. I mean, let's compare silicon stamp with silicon stamp. Somebody still believes in the lava fountain? If I didn't know about giant silicon trees, I'd rather believe in giant cream injector and fan, but not in volcanic garbage. If you think that these two giant silicon trees are the only thing I can show you, then you are mistaken. There are lots of them on the planet. The funniest thing that normal people do not realize that they are stumps, but official science realized seriously that they should find how to hide these trees from people who asks too much and invented genius name for silicon stumps, the basalt cliffs. I want you to pay attention to those two pictures, where fibers hang from like the ceiling. How can volcanic version explain this? Lava was dripping, but its drops didn't fall to the ground, and other drops sticked by the hexagonal honeycombs to neighbor drops which somehow reached the ground. Look at this photo. Just a normal everyday photo with this girl. It is good, but the only thing that she do not realize that she is sitting near the giant stump of a silicon tree. All artifacts are in plain sight, but prism of matrix do not allow us to see 9 dolphins. There are tons of silicon stumps in the network. You can learn this topic by yourself. All distinctive features you know now, so Google will help you. And we are moving forward. And I want to show you one more hexagonal miracle of the Earth, of silicon nature. I want to introduce to you the biggest salt lake in the world, Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. As you see, not everything is so simple as it's written in the textbooks and shown on Discovery Channel. For our tradition, wanted to show you what Wikipedia is telling us about this hexagon. But if fibers of silicon stumps Wiki is retouching somehow, then about hexagonal structure of the South American lake is keeping silence, like a fish, like there is none of them. But they are there, absolutely there. You won't believe, but silent is not only Wikipedia. After hours of research, I found nothing about this hexagonal structure. And only in one place I found single phrase like "Look how interesting dried and cracked salt." And then I fell into a stupor. First of all, under the blazing sun's rays, every surface is cracking like this. But not in the hexagonal shape like a honeycombs. Second, cracks are deepenings between fragments of surface, but I see elevations. And this is the opposite to the cracks. It is more looks like a fiber fascia, like silicon stumps one. And third thing, why salt surface has exactly hexagonal shape? If official story has not even sensible explanation, but nothing at all, let me tell you my opinion. As Wake Up Human says, there are no salt lakes on Earth, but just sludge salting tanks. I agree with him, but not in this case. And there is why. I think that you already realized that hexagonal shape is an attribute belonged exclusively to a living organism, either it is possession of the queen bee, snowflake structure, or plant's fibers. As we've seen with our own eyes, Saladardeo uni, it's not just a giant layer of salt. It was a living being of silicon form of life that was scraped out by adepts of technocracy, by their machines. Now you understand how far we are from the reality. If giant tree is somehow, we can imagine with our pathetic mind, then creature from salt 10,000 square kilometers wide and unclear what height, we can't imagine. Now you understand that 7,500 years ago our planet was so fantastic, fabulous and beautiful that Cameron with his avatar is poor substitute. And all is left to us is a desert which we had turned into a scrapyard. And what I mean by saying scraped out by their machines? Well, to be short, while our society was sleeping in this matrix, working 9 to 5 hours every day, doing useless things, dreaming useless dreams, our planet literally was scraped out and are scraping it now, with giant graders and machines. I will show you later. Well, theoretical part is over now, and it is time for climax, and we are going to runway. But before we should return to our first stump and see one strange thing in it. I bet you did not notice it. We saw many stumps, but this one is special. He has flat surface on top. It means that it was cut down. Yes, exactly cut it, or sawn. And now our imagination is asking us, who cut it? For what? With what they cut it? I will answer these questions lately. We will put this question into the background because this stump that was cut is not single one on our planet. I will tell you even more. Devil's Tower is small one compared to others. Boys and girls, our aircraft is ready to fly. Our course is, well, we have no course. We will fly our planet around. Fasten your seat belts and better hold the handrails, cause everything you will see will overturn your notion of rocks and mountains. Let's go.